We are live on the Virtual Grip Network, and for the last time, we hopped in the DeLorean to travel back to 1966 for this season's YesterYear Tour Modified. Some of the best Tour Mod drivers have competed for one of the most prestigious and unique titles on the iRacing platform, the Old Red Boot. I'm Zach Chapman, a.k.a. Shaggy, along with my partner in crime, J.R. Shepard. We're lucky enough to have the heartbeat of EGN, the absolute best at bringing all the sights and sounds, the one and only Ryan Seneca. Tonight's race, we will honor Southern Modified driver and North Carolina native Zach Brewer. Zach raced Tour Modifieds for the Hillbilly Racing team at Bowman Gray and on the Smart Tour. He also raced in the Goodies Dash Series in the 1990s and early 2000s. Sadly, Zach passed away on March 3rd, 2024 at the age of 44 due to complications from a routine surgery. Tonight, Alan Wanamaker will be driving Zach's number 79 Hillbilly Racing machine in honor of the North Carolina driver. Now, the last time the boys went to play on the racetrack, we crowned a new series champion. Tom Ogle came into Atlanta needing a top 5 finish to lock up the title, and he did that, plus a little more. Tom found himself glued to the back of Jerry Isaacs for the majority of the race, pushing Isaacs to his first win of the season while engraving his name on the Old Red Boot. That being said, tonight is about bragging rights as we're set to go 250 laps around the Hickory Motor Speedway. When we ran this race back in 1966, Earl Moss of Creedmoor, North Carolina, led 144 of the 250 laps to go on and win the race. Moss passed Gene Bergen of Manchester, Connecticut on lap 189 and never looked back. Gerald Rush finished 2 laps down in second place, while Joe Thurman of Rocky Mount, Virginia, finished in third place, 5 laps down. A crowd of 4,500 people were in attendance, and they saw Moss take home $1,050, a little over 10 grand in today's money. Now, JR, I mentioned there in the intro, points already decided. So to me, you put 18 guys out here on the small racetrack. Sounds like a free fireworks show, man. What kind of vibe do you have for tonight? What can we expect here as we go 250 laps?
Yeah, absolutely. Tonight's going to be exciting. So this place is just under 3/8 of a mile in length. Track surface has a ton of character built into it. This track is a handful with the more powerful cars, and that's because this track is very bumpy. So these drivers, they're going to have to keep that in mind throughout the night. If you hit one of those bumps wrong, it will upset the car and create either a push or loose condition, just depending on how you are angled when you go across that bump. But more importantly, it's going to open up an opportunity for your competitor to make a pass on you. The other thing that may come into play tonight will be the fact that this track has a curved backstretch, which may lead to some drivers get a little anxious and trying to turn into turn 3 just a little bit earlier than their competitor in order to gain an advantage. And Shaggy, my experience, when this happens, you will normally see contact that results in someone's night ending, maybe even a big pileup, because there's not a whole lot of places to avoid an accident at this racetrack. But bottom line, this is the last chance for these drivers to get a win this season, and I expect to see some exciting and intense racing here.
I agree with you there. We are going to get it. You mentioned bottom line. That's my next question. Is that where we expect most of the passing to get done here tonight? Not a lot of banking. I wouldn't want to get thrown in on that outside. We're going to see a lot of rubber build up over 250 laps. You got to think. Bottom, that's where we're going to be tonight, right?
Absolutely. It's where you want to be when you're running by yourself. However, you can make that outside work at least through turns 1 and 2 when you're side by side with somebody. So that can come into play, especially if we get some action mixing things up, or if somebody even makes a mistake and you're able to get to their outside. That outside can work, but it gets very tricky when you get down to turn 3 and 4.
Oh, we're almost out of time here. Qualifying set to come to a close, and we do indeed take a look at the starting order. I think it's going to be pretty interesting here, JR. I'm excited to go through this rundown. I mean, guys who necessarily, maybe we haven't seen up towards the front in a while, all of a sudden they're up towards the front.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a mixed deal, and it's because of the character in this track. It brings out drivers for sure. Driver can make a big difference here.
Let's go ahead. Let's take a look at the starting lineup here for tonight's final YesterYear Tour Modified race. Row 1, starting on the pole, Scott Negus to the outside, Tom Oakley.
Rolling off in third place, James Lowe on the outside, the 99, Daryl Weininger.
Row 3 to the inside, Gavin Adams to the top shelf, last week's winner, Jerry Isaacs.
Rolling off inside of row 4, we have Eric YesterYear, and outside in 8th, Brian Neff.
Brian Bianchi lines up on the inside of row 5 to the outside, Rex Hoyle.
Rolling off in 11th is Jeff Aho on the outside, 12th, Bruce Pearson.
Lloyd Moore to the inside of row 7 to the top shelf, Brian Johnson.
Inside row 8, we got Alan Wanamaker in that 79 car. Outside the 5 car, Torrance Childs.
Kenny Allen and Robert Corisco going to round out the field there in row number 9. And I think with this being a short track, okay. I was pretty sure there, JR, but sometimes they try to speed it up. I was pretty sure we'd get a little warm-up lap in here before we get ready to go.
Oh, yeah. Got to give these drivers a moment to think about what's about to go down. And it's going to be exciting. This is going to be a tough opening lap while they're side by side here.
Yeah, not to put the pressure on Ogle here, but you won the championship. So I got to think here, he's going to feel it a little bit. He wants to exit the season with a win. Let's see how hard he decides to race here as the green flag waves. We've got 250 laps to play at the Hickory Motor Speedway.
Absolutely. Tom had a great jump there, almost too good of a jump, but you can see that outside coming into play already through turns 1 and 2. It is a big advantage, and there's already contact down in 3 and 4 with Stay Green.
Yeah, shows how wrong I was. I mean, played out up front exactly like you said. There it goes again as we're seeing Bianchi get a little loose in that 14 machine. Caution flag waves. And that is going to be a caution, I think, JR, that a lot of people are going to be thankful for here after that first lap scrum.
Absolutely, because that gives them a chance to get single file here when we go green next time. But going to watch Bianchi here. Just got into a bad situation. See him touch the apron coming off 4. 3 wide in the turn 1. That is not at all what you want. And ultimately what it did is it sent him up the track a little bit, made contact with that car that was the 3rd in line on the outside, and sent him around. But he did a nice job locking it down. So that's a lesson for a lot of the people watching at home. Lock that car down, avoid the contact with that inside wall.
I've seen these guys do it before, JR. I believe, the original setup may be limited on that fuel load, but then you can go in and top it off. Is there any thought? I mean, that is a long, long way to go on gas, but if you came in and filled this thing up completely, could you go 246 here? Could you go the rest of the way?
Yeah, that would be very tough to do. It's always an option because it is a short track, short distance. You do have off-throttle time, so you can save fuel, especially in a long run. You can start to back up that corner entry and let the car float a lot more while you're off-throttle. But with these higher horsepower cars, I've got to believe you're going to want at least right side tires at some point. It's just going to be way too much to handle if we go the rest of the way green.
We get another caution here. We'll pull up a driver or two throughout the night, but being so early, I didn't want to get in their heads this early. I mean, I think the lights are about to go off. They do, so we're going to go back racing anyway. Now, you mentioned those single file restarts, obviously back in time. Going to be single file. I think if you're Scott Negus, you're a little upset. You say, I just saw what he did to me on the outside. I'd like my try, but now he's going to have to do it the hard way. Pace truck pulls off. Tom Ogle enters the restart zone. He drops the hammer. He does it late, keeps the field guessing. They stack up a little bit behind, but big gap for Tom Ogle, and I'm watching Negus. He goes down there to try to protect. He clipped that apron there, JR, and I thought the 07 of James Lowe was going to be able to get the run off of 2, but he couldn't do it just yet.
Yeah, and that's what you've got to pay attention for. We talked about the character. This track is tough to get around by yourself. So if you're anywhere near that competitor that you're chasing and they make a mistake, that gives you the opportunity to try to pounce and make a pass. So that's something you're going to be watching for all night long. But you've got to be there to capitalize on it when it happens.
And Bruce Pearson, high, wide, and handsome in that double deuce. You saw him go around the outside. I mean, I was shocked. Obviously, JR, I take everything that you say and hold it with the utmost respect. I mean, I believe every word. It's like the Bible coming out of your mouth. But I was a little shocked when you said running the outside, and here we go. I mean, even on fresh tires, we're seeing it early, and that tells me if you can get to the outside of somebody in maybe 20 or 30 laps, man, it may be really tough for that guy on the bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. And what that tells me is that these cars are a little bit tighter than what I was expecting them to be. So if you are on that inside line, somebody gets to your outside and these cars are tight through the center of the corner, you're not going to be able to get back to the throttle. You're going to have to wait and wait because you can't push up into your competitor that's now on your outside. And I think that's what's happening here. So these drivers, they're learning from it early. They know that they can make those passes.
Yeah, and it almost then, you don't want to overdrive the race car there, JR, if you're on the bottom, but you're almost to the point where I think you want to kind of, take it back to dirt racing there. Throw that slide job almost on entry, and if the guy wants to come back at you on the bottom, by all means, let him have it because, man, those runs you get off the top shelf just look so strong right now.
Yeah, absolutely, they do. And to me, it's going to open up some options, or at least it should start to open up options in the drivers' minds that if somebody starts to peek to your outside or gets to your outside, you may have to use that apron a little bit. You may need to stick your left side tires down on corner entry, especially in the turn 3. That's something that can work as long as you can keep that car underneath you.
If we go back to Alan Wanamaker there, you see him in that Zach-inspired scheme, but Bianchi, he doesn't really care. He has been fishing to find a way around here, JRD. Oh! I thought we were going to get a little contact there. Bianchi had to get on the binders. He saw the door getting shut, and, Alan, he's going to get that break that time, but, early on, lap 18 at 250, I don't know, how Bianchi will take that if it happens a couple more times.
Absolutely, and and you see Bianchi, he's learned. He's trying to get to the outside now, but some contact going into 3. Allen is sliding sideways. He's able to save it, so he stayed green. So a great save there. But you talked about it. At some point you're going to start to get a little irritated if you feel like you're continuing to be cut off. You're going to eventually send it in there.
Yeah, I hate to say I told you so, JR, but I told you so. I am that driver that I'll look at the clock and I'll say, we got 230 laps to go. You're racing me like this? Okay, let's do it. And then you drive it in there just a little deep. And, yeah, Alan able to hold on to it. But I think the big thing there, JR, that was a pretty big slide. So Alan going to have to take it easy now for a couple laps. That's going to really hinder that 79 machine.
Absolutely. So when you do a slide like that, what it does more than anything is heats up your rear tires. So now that car is going to be oddly loose on corner entry as well as when you go to apply that throttle on corner exit. And it's going to take 2 or 3 laps for that to come down to where the car gets back to handling normal again. So the best thing he can do is to tone it down for these couple of laps, because if he slides those tires one more time, it's going to be like being on ice. There will be no control in that car.
Now, obviously, I don't want to be the jinx here, JR, but we've seen it happen before with these guys, people coming down, maybe pitting a little early. Now, you got to think, if this thing would happen to stay green, I mean, you got to run this thing till it's all but sputtering, right? You can't be that first person to come down pit road, not at this short of a racetrack.
Yeah, definitely. If you're the first drivers to come down pit road, you're going to go laps down, not just a lap down. You're going to be 2, maybe even 3 laps down, depending on where you're running when you start that pit stop. So these drivers, they have to be thinking about that. Now, however, being the last race of the year, if you're somebody that doesn't have a chance to move up a little bit in points and you normally don't have the chance to race for a win, maybe you take a chance.
And I think Scott Negus may have been listening to us. If a guy comes up on you this early, he's got the speed, you don't need to race him too hard. You let low go on by, and maybe, if he's playing your game, JR, maybe you reel him back in about 50 or so laps. Negus just playing the game right now, and I like it.
Yeah, I like it too, because the one thing in these long runs with the higher powered race cars, you've got to take care of your stuff. There are drivers that are able to just go out and run hard and get tons of speed early, But at the end of the day, you've got to have something to work with as you get into a run. And with this kind of car count, I expect to have some long runs at some point. We've got a good one going right now, but you've got to take care of your stuff. I think Negus is capable of doing that.
And it's I hate to put you on the spot, Ryan, but you always have that over-the-top blimp camera, don't you? The one time I put him on the spot, see? But what I'm seeing from the one TV camera, it's pretty interesting, JR. Leader only about a straightaway, maybe a little more from approaching that lap traffic that you talked about. There, as you can see, the lap car entering in front. I mean, that's going to be no time at all. So, Tom, he's going to be happy that he's built up the cushion he has here, JR, because not going to be easy, I don't think, to work through lap traffic, especially as we know, no lucky dogs. So if you're going a lap down on lap, let's say they catch him lap 50, I mean, that's 200 long laps.
Yeah, absolutely. And the deal is this. We know Tom's already locked up that championship where drivers may have been a little nicer in the previous races because they knew what was at stake. They know Tom's already got that locked up. So to your point, if they go a lap down, the race is pretty well over. You don't get a lucky dog. You cannot get a wave around if a caution comes out. You're going to race that leader hard in order to stay on the lead lap. And we might just see some contact. We saw some of that earlier in the season. So these drivers, if they start racing hard, it's going to be very difficult for the leader to make those passes.
Yeah, and I think if you're Tom, he knows everything you just said. He's got to expect it. I mean, you don't expect you taken out or anything like that, but, it's going to be a war to put those guys a lap down. And that group that you're watching right now, that's the group that he's catching. You can see it's 6 cars there. I mean, not going to be really anywhere for Tom Ogle to go. So he's going to have to be selective and very decisive here as he approaches fifth of the way through this race.
Yeah, and he's really got to be opportunistic on what's about to go down once he catches this pack. So I expect once he gets there, some of these drivers are going to get a little anxious, a little desperate, and try to make moves on the car that's ahead of them. Like you said, these cars are not spread out. They are all nose to tail racing each other. So if he gets there and he sees one of these drivers getting a little anxious, he's going to have to be ready to pounce on that once a mistake is made or once that driver gets into the wrong lane. So that's one of those deals where you've really got to be planning your move even 1 to 2 laps ahead of making the move. It's hard to do, but you've got to be able to visualize that.
No, JR, that's why we're perfect for each other. I'm thinking the same way here. And not only, if you're Tom, I think as you catch those guys, they start to heat up. And I saw a caution flag already, JR. I mean, those guys are going to race really aggressive. He's got to be all hands on deck. I mean, you never know. Car slides sideways in front of you. I mean, that is not a fun time there for Tom. As you see, battle heating up for, I believe, E8. That's Eric Essery and Gavin Adams here. Eric's got the slight edge for the moment. He's able to clear him. Gavin drove it in pretty deep there, locked up the brakes. There's contact. Oh, he's able to keep it straight. Not the caution flag those guys like Ken Allen were hoping for. And Brian Johnson, we continue here. Boy, oh boy.
Oh, there's more contact. Bianchi's getting hit. He's able to lock it down and keep it going right there. But he's going to lose a ton of time. He's going to come out into that pack we were talking about and kind of shake things up right in front of the leader.
Man, oh man, Gavin Adams playing hitman right now. That's 2 guys in 2 laps. And, it's a case of what we were talking about with Allen. He overshot. He locked it up on entry. And, JR, I think he's just having trouble letting that car come back to him after sliding the tires, and it's just not acting the same.
It's not, and like I talked about, once you do that, you've really got to drive the car straight. Do not get it out of shape, spin the tires or anything for 2 or 3 laps, because if you slide those tires any at all, they continue to get hotter and hotter, and that only makes it more difficult to keep that car under control.
Brian Bianchi just locked it up in front of your leader there. He's pushed on the outside now with Brian Johnson. I know this is the battle for, not to be disrespectful, gentlemen, but 17th. But look at that car right behind. Tom Ogle, here he goes. And man, oh man, looky who's reeled him in, JR. James Lowe. It did not take long. Oh, we got a car on the inside. That's Alan Wanamaker. No caution flag. He comes back up on the racetrack. We continue. tough breakdown for the 9-ball there, I guess. Oh, now we get a caution flag. We get a caution flag now, and I believe it's Alan Wanamaker again. So just stay on this camera, Ryan. We're about to see something. Oh, left front broke, or right front broken. You can see he can't turn it down in.
Yeah, he just wasn't able to get it back down to pit road. There wasn't much he could do. I mean, if he continued to try to go around the track, he was going to end up bringing out a caution with contact with somebody. So he did the right thing there, came to a stop as best he could toward the bottom of the racetrack, but in doing so, that brought out a caution.
Leader's coming down pit road here, too. Yeah, I had to know this was coming. Because I think, 200 laps is pretty long, JR, but that might be within that fuel limit. I think, if they needed to, they may be able to go the rest of the way.
Yeah, absolutely. You're definitely at this stage of the race going to come in and get a full tank. Now, a full tank of fuel is going to take a lot of time to get completed. So I would expect to see some of these drivers, not the leaders, but some of these drivers to take 4 tires just for that reason.
Has Brian Bianchi as them, they won that race off pit road. They just came down pit road again. I think, as you can see there from the overview we were in, maybe some guys sharing some pit boxes. As we know, JR, that can get pretty confusing. You see a guy already in there, you don't really see. Oh, and we have contact under caution. Oh, car sitting sideways on the backstretch. Who is that?
I think that may have been Aho.
He got a shot in the back here. Oh, by Ken Allen. Oh man, and for Jeff Aho. That is tough. And I think if I'm looking at this right, JR, he lost a lap in that. Oh man,
yeah.
that is a shame.
Yeah, it is. And I wasn't paying. We're getting ready to go green. I wasn't really paying attention to what happened, but the pack was really charged at trying to catch up to the pace car there.
That's a tough break, as JR mentioned. Green flag waves were back underway, and not too sure why, but Gavin Adams does indeed have a black flag as he's coming down pit road right now. I see he's going to serve it. That's going to be it for the 30 machine. Not going to make those laps back up as continue to race around here. Looking at pit times, JR, everybody pretty similar. It looks like, Guarisco, he had a 24-second pit stop, so he took tires, but he got caught a lap down because he took 4 tires. As well as I do, if you're going to get 4, you got to get 2 at a time, or that pace car is going to trap you, and that stinks for him. But that race is all but over now for Crisco.
Yeah, it's something you got to recognize. It's something you really got to practice before the race to see how long it takes. The one thing interesting about this track is that pace car does go pretty quick around here. It's not a very slow pace speed. So, to your point, you're going to have to do 2 tires at a time. There's just no way. And a lot of what we saw with that contact under caution was because when you come out of the pits, the pace car is gone. You have got to accelerate to catch back up to it.
You got to wonder, too. Now, obviously, JR, you don't ever want a mistake down pit road. You never want that. But if you're going to have one, it may as well be early. And James Lowe, he came down pit road P2, came out 4th here. So he's going to have to earn them back on the racetrack. And, JR, that's never fun. When you come down, P2, you lose 2 spots. Hey, you're kind of pounding that steering wheel a little bit.
For sure, and the difference could be the fueling. So, some of those drivers up front may have taken the exact amount that they needed, maybe a couple of laps extra in order to get to the end, but James may have taken a full tank. So that's just, 2, 3, 4 seconds extra, and that will cost you those positions. So it's something that you constantly got to be on top of in order to remain in the position you came in or better coming off pit road.
Yeah, that is an interesting note because looking at the times now, you made me wonder. He had a 14.22 second pit stop, and Scott Negus, the quickest, 11.4. So now you're going to be wondering here the rest of the time, if this does go green, did they get enough fuel in that 29? Because that's a pretty big difference there.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And the problem with, using the auto calculation when you come into pit, it's all determined on how hard you are driving. If you were driving hard in that opening stage, then it's probably going to be a good calculation. But if you were taking it easy a little bit, just kind of riding, there's the possibility you could be off by a couple of laps. And in a long run, that could be 4 or 5 laps. So something the drivers have to think about each and every time they come down pit road to try to get fuel.
You are not kidding, JR. That auto fuel thing got me in a race one time in Daytona because it had always, accounted for me being in the draft. And as soon as I got out front late in the race like I wanted to, I ran out of fuel going down the backstretch. So these guys better take better have already learned their lesson because you don't want to lose that here tonight. Not that way.
Yeah, you and me both. So, yeah, we definitely understand how to be bitten by that. But, it's okay to make mistakes. Got to learn from them. As long as you learn from them moving forward, you're good.
Guys right now maybe learning a little bit from going a little too hard on that second restart. Everybody staying single file towards the front. And Tom Ogle, he's been able to extend a little bit over Negus, but I think Scott maybe saw, hey, last time I took it easy and we let Ogle kind of walk away. And I think Negus knows if he can stay around, like you say, JR, that half second, and they catch lap traffic, he'll be right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the great thing about having that caution around lap 50 is we had pretty well 50 laps of running there. I know we had that one caution, but close to 50 laps of running. So when they came in to get tires, they could look on their black box. We see Negus hit the wall coming out of 4 there, pushing the envelope. So now Darrell is going to get underneath them in turn 2, and they're going to run side by side here. And Negus is getting awful high. It usually gives you a big run off the corner, but high risk. You could make contact there.
Yeah, now they're still side by side coming off the 2 here. Negus had to burp that throttle one more time. Allowed that 99 to pool even, but here he goes. Big run off the top shelf. And I think what's going to be the tell sign here, James Lowe, where does he go? Okay, now he goes to the outside, and, now he got to duck back in line. But I think he realized, hey, maybe I'm going to need to get by this 99 on the outside. Not able to do it on the bottom.
Yeah, he's trying to do the over-under there. That right there, he backed out of it. It's so tempting when you have some type of a run to try to dive into turn 3 earlier than that car ahead of you. And usually that causes your car to push up the racetrack because you just have a bad angle, bad entry. But he wisely backed out of it. It is early in the race, but if we get late in the race and somebody gets a run like that, expect them to try to take it.
Boy, oh boy, we go from hammer down bump drafting in Atlanta to man, oh man. I mean, your paper thin grip here over these bumps at the Hickory Motor Speedway. Quite the diverse season. And now you got to wonder, obviously, Gavin Adams, he wants to stay out here race. I mean, I respect him for staying around. But we're past that point now, JR, where you're on the lead lap. He's 3 laps down. If you're Tom Ogle, you stay behind this car maybe 2-3 more laps. You might use that little push bumper on the front.
Yeah, he's probably going to be a little patient just because he's got a gap right now. But like you said, once he starts trying to make a move, if that becomes difficult to do, then absolutely. You know that the guy you're trying to pass is not trying to stay on the lead lap. He is multiple laps down. So you're going to try to get him out of the way once you start to feel that pressure from behind. Oh, contact.
Oh, and then there's contact again, and we will get a caution flag here. I believe that was Brian Johnson, was in the 27 machine. Was that, JR? He gets into Bruce here. Talk us through it.
Yeah, watching on board, they're coming off of turn 4 onto the straightaway. And, yeah, it's a little bit of a tough one. So the 27, Brian, he was kind of coming off of turn 4 with kind of a little bit of a slide, so it kind of got him off angle going down the straightaway. So he wasn't all the way against the wall. You see him exit here. He's not all the way against the wall. That gives him more of a straighter angle. Bruce Pearson in the 22 is kind of taking more of the traditional arcing the car, into the corner. And this is something that we see a lot at Hickory, just drivers interpreting how to take turn 1. And sometimes they come together like we saw.
Would you believe me if I told you the leaders came down pit road again? Top 5 stayed out. Yeah, I'm right there with you, JR. This is legit. I play dummy a lot, but I am, I'm really actually, that's a head scratcher. I absolutely love what James Lowe did here because, let's be honest, JR, we go out here, we get another 80-lap green flag run. Everybody's coming down pit road, and baby, you got the track position.
Yeah, kind of looking back, I mean, it looks like once again they took right side tires, and the only thing I can figure is they think at some point this race is going to go green. And right now we have a ton of laps left, around 160 laps left in this race. If we were to go green, you're going to want the freshest rubber possible. The other thing we talked about and touched on is we know James lost positions the last time. Maybe he has more fuel on board than what those leaders that just pitted had, and that's why they had to come back down.
Let's see how it plays out here. Lights are off. Pace truck pulls off. We're ready to go green. James Lowe waits till the end, drops the hammer. A lot of guys gaming that start, wait until the end. I love it. Great restart. And now we're going to have some battling back and behind while James Lowe can pull away a little bit. We got a battle for third. Tom Ogle trying to make quick work here under Rex Oil. Rex, I think he may have sensed the presence there. He didn't put up much of a fight. He's going to drop down in line, try to hold on to P4. And now, here we go. Tom Ogle trying to snipe his way on up to P2, but I don't think he knows what we know. The double deuce likes the outside. This ain't going to be easy here for Tom.
It's not, but
well,
Tom,
never mind.
Yeah, Tom did that trick. Now, Bruce is still trying to hang on there. I think Tom's going to clear him now, but Tom did that trick when you're the inside car going down the backstretch to turn in just slightly early. That gives you a huge advantage. You can almost do a slide job in the turn 3.
Well, boy, keep that one in the memory bank, Bruce, is you don't want to get left out like that again. He's stuck on the outside. Rex Oil trying to put up a fight. Can Bruce come down and clear on entry? He can. He enters a little high again. He should get a big enough run here to close the door, but he plays Mr. Nice Guy here. You don't want to get any damage on that puppy.
You don't. One thing I'm noticing on this restart, you see all those marbles being thrown up on the camera there, especially when we're riding on board, and you can see how heavily marbled the top side is right there on corner entry. It's also happening on the apron of the racetrack. So there's 2 areas that these drivers are going to have to start to recognize. You can still make it work, but if you get just inches out of line on that high side, you're going to get into those marbles, and it's going to go right up the track.
Wasn't much of a battle for the lead. Sorry to interrupt you. James Lowe, I think he felt the pressure. Just let Ogle go right on by. And, well, Tom, you know, you can make me scratch my head. Tom Ogle makes the right call coming down pit road, apparently. You see James Lowe, I mean, you could have parked a tour bus in between those guys. He didn't put any pressure at all. Long way to go. And I get it, I guess, if you're James, but also here, JR, I think maybe you're thinking the same thing I am. If you're out there on older tires, at least make that guy work a little bit on the bottom.
Yeah, I'm going to think that, you know, for me, if I stayed out, I'm on the older tires. I know that driver behind me already has an advantage. I'm going to make him use his tires up a little bit because if this thing goes green, I need all of that tire conservation that I could possibly have. And I'm only going to be able to do that if I've got clean air out front.
Yeah, not only that, but just try to even it up a little bit. Make that guy scrub off just a little extra, cranking down, coming off the corners. I mean, we had seen Rex Hoyle there battling with the double deuce. Now, if you notice in this camera angle, now you see him, and now you don't, because I think he used up all his stuff on the bottom trying to crank it down. And, you know, while Bruce, you know, I love what he's doing here, JR, but the guys going by him, they hate him right now because he is just quick enough, you know, to kind of mess you up a little bit, make you put a little more wheel into that thing than you want to. And, well, 20 laps down the road, you're cursing him again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's tough. It is extremely tough. To drive this track in general, we talked about the character, the bumps in this racetrack. As the tires wear, that gets worse. As those marbles on the racetrack or on the apron and up on that top side, it becomes even more treacherous. So, yeah, being side by side is not something you want to do lap after lap, and that's kind of the situation the rest of the drivers are being put in.
We are inching closer to halfway. This thing is starting to click off. I mean, these green flag runs, laps are going quick. We're on lap 108 right now, and Scott Negus was another guy who had come down pit road. And JR, he's slowly reeling in James Lowe. Well, will he get the same treatment that Tom Ogle got? We'll have to see here, and he does.
Yep.
James Lowe says, go ahead, Scotty.
Yeah, it's a little confusing because that's to me, that's the whole point of staying out, is to try to gain that track position. But if you're going to be back where you were anyway and you're on different tires, it's not a gain at all. So a little bit confused by that, but maybe he knows something that we don't.
Yeah, most definitely. And obviously, you don't want to be the caution, but, there's that devil on your shoulder here as you see Brian Johnson making the move on Rex Oil. See if he can get it. Can't get a good enough run off the 2, but he drives back in there. But back to what I was saying, that devil on your shoulder, and just slowing those guys up. I mean, if I'm James Lowe, I'm hoping they wreck, JR. I'm taking them off their line. I'm pinching them, putting them down towards that apron. I mean, I am making them as uncomfortable as I can. But, man, James Lowe, he's Mr. Nice Guy out here today. He's getting out of the way now for Isaacs.
Yeah, and every driver's going to have a different code that they're driving by. I'm always a type of person, I'm going to make you work to make that run. And I'm not going to use up my stuff to try to hold you off, but I'm going to make you make that move. So I'm not going to lift or try to give you room or let you by until I know that you're already to my inside or my outside. At that point, I may lift if I'm taking care of my stuff for a longer run. But, just letting them go is just giving them a huge advantage.
Yeah, because like I said, I don't mean to harp on this, but, it's kind of the thing we have going on right now. And, man, back to the track position thing, if a caution flag would come out as he's pulling out of the way again, I mean, you're to the point where everybody's coming down pit road. So, I mean, you're literally going to gain nothing back. I mean, you lost everything you just worked for. That is a tough one for me. And, well, really, maybe, JR, we may not be weighing the tires as much, too. I know this isn't a shot at Bruce, but, we expect a lot out of James Lowe. Bruce, too. But Bruce is another one as we're looking at him. He stayed out on the track as well. And, I mean, is there that big a difference possibly between 30-lap right-side tires? I mean, that double deuce struggling just like James Lowe.
I mean, I definitely think this is one of the tracks where tires will make a difference because this track is very abrasive, and that's where those marbles that you're seeing continue to get darker and darker on the top side and the bottom of the track. It's because it's acting like a cheese grater. It is grinding the rubber right off of these tires. So it does matter. The tires will matter, but I almost think there's something else going on because James is not running anywhere near the same lap times as some of these leaders, and we've got enough laps on the tires that they should be starting to equalize. So I'm kind of wondering if there might be some fuel strategy going on here.
You saw that puff of white smoke, a little, I believe, almost spin there from Gavin Adams. He got it under control, but now the leaders are going to be in his back pocket here once again. Oh man, Scott Negus, I don't know if you were just watching that, JR. He drove it in deep to 3 and 4, and let me tell you, his hands were full in the center of that corner. I bet you that wheel felt like a feather, and it looked like he almost did it again there. He is really sliding that thing through the center of the corner. He's driving it in deep, and I don't know if I like that strategy here, Cotton.
Yeah, it's definitely a bold move. Every driver's different. We kind of talked about every driver's driving style's a little bit different, and some of the drivers like to really charge those corners. The interesting thing is he's making good lap time doing it. He's actually closed in on the leader and continuing to chip away at it, inches per lap, down to a quarter of a second now, and he's almost making contact with Ogle through the corners at this point. So it's paying off for him. And this is what I would consider to be toward the middle of a run. So we've got several laps on the tires. So this looks good for Scott, even though he's being very aggressive with it. He's making good time and might just be able to challenge Tom here.
Torrance Childs almost made a move there on Brian Johnson for a spot. He's going to duck it in there one more time, the 5. You watch Brian get the outside wall, and there I think Brian maybe clipped it one more time. Oh, they almost make contact there in the center. Oh, are we brewing for a caution?
It could potentially be coming because this is the time where the cars are starting to lose the handle more so than what they were at the beginning of the run, and it's going to be most noticeable right in the center of the corner, and that happens more cases than not through the center of turns 3 and 4. Turns 3 and 4, it's very flat. If you do not get arced into that corner correctly, the inside car will push up into that outside car. And once it starts to push, there's not a lot you can do. You can get out of the throttle, you can hit the brakes, you can turn that wheel, but the car is going to continue to slide up the track. And if that outside car is kind of holding you down a little bit, we'll see some contact.
And, speaking of slide here, Brian Bianchi kind of had a rough start sliding around the racetrack, and all of a sudden, we haven't talked about him much, JR. He's back inside the top 5. I mean, he's a guy. We get a caution flag here before this thing's over. You better watch out for that 14. I mean, as well as I do, he is a short track racer in these things. This is what he does.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen him race a lot in different leagues out on the iRacing server, and he knows how to get the job done, and he's a driver that will take care of his stuff. He understands this is a 250-lap race. He doesn't have to be up front right now. He's going to make sure he gets to the end and has something to work with.
See, Hoyle, he got around Childs. Now he's trying to work on Johnson, but Johnson channeling his inner double deuce here. He is just rolling that outside. He said, you guys want the bottom. And now look, they all get in line with him. They say you can't beat him, join him.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you have to be doing this throughout the race. We're just past halfway. But if you see the driver ahead of you doing something that gives them an advantage that you haven't been doing, and you see Rex make contact coming out of turn 2, you're going to start to experiment and flirt with that same line. You're going to try to see if you can find that same speed. But sometimes when you do that, you'll see what Rex did there. You'll get into the wall and make contact. Now, it wasn't enough to damage that car, but sometimes if you overstep it, it will be. So you've got to be very cautious while you're doing it, but you need to be moving around. If you see a driver doing something that's better, you've got to try to find that same speed.
James Lowe is another one. I just caught him coming off a 4-2 laps ago. He is on the slip and slide right now. This coming in through 3 and 4 here. He stays way off the bottom that time, JR. I mean, half a car length. You see a lot of guys go down there touching the apron there. He's not even flirting with it here. He is praying for some yellow laundry to start flying here. He needs new right sides, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely showing just how important tires are. And I heard Darrell Weininger say that he was coming to pit road. He was one of the drivers that was already a lap down, and I'm not sure if he's coming in for a pit stop. I think he's just calling it a night there, but we'll pay attention.
Yeah, tough break there. I mean, we are getting to that point where, if you weren't saving your stuff, JR, you're really, really going to feel it, I think. Oh, there, Torrance Childs. He almost got running the outside wall there by Oil. The 28 of Gorisco, he's a lap down, but he's trying to race a little bit in that blue 28 machine as he takes a peek under. Oh, little sideways there for Gorisco, JR. You saw him have to counter steer that thing to the right. Good save.
Yeah, great save there, and they're continuing to be side by side, but you can see how much track they are using up now. They're moving that groove higher and higher. They got to be careful with it because you see all the marbles up there, but if you slowly continue to move up, you'll pick those marbles up and clean the track off, and that's what these drivers have been doing. They're slowly inching their way up to the top, and that's going to give us some very unique racing grooves, but that's kind of what you find in the higher-powered cars on a short track like this. Odd lines will start to present themselves, and they really work.
There you see the 37 of Double E, Eric Esser. He just made the move for 6th in the battle for the lead. Oh, well, Brian, you jinxed him. I'm blaming you because I didn't bring it up. You put the camera, Negus gets a little loose there, and that guy, he's been camera shy. We saw him catch him earlier, get a little loose in 3 and 4, and whoa, there you see JR. He had to go way high there through 2. I thought he was going to get the wall again. Negus, man, he's going to have to calm these tires down, but look at Bianchi. He's trying to make the move on Brian Neff. This will be for 4th.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian, well, both Brian's here, but Brian Bianchi, he has been calm. Oh, and as Evan said that, he gets loose going into turn 3, almost sends it around. He's able to hang on to it. So a fantastic save there, but it shows you just how on edge these drivers are at this point of the run. These cars are all over the place.
Yeah, and I mean, we talk about it sometimes, but this race more so than ever with them having pit, 50 laps ago, those rear ends, they're starting to get light, JR. And, as the fuel load burns off, the tires get more wore down. I mean, that's a recipe for disaster here, especially if you've already, kind of been hanging on for the ride.
Yeah, and that's a great point. So, as you go through the run, you're continuing to burn off fuel. In cars like this, it is a noticeable handling difference from where you have a full tank to where you do not have that anymore. You only have a half a tank, a quarter of a tank, or very low on fuel. The car handles completely different. Not to mention your tires are wore out, you're slipping and sliding already. So these drivers, they're going to have to adjust their driving styles each and every lap. They're going to have to be constantly reacting to what that car is doing.
Yeah, so actually a little over 50 because Tom Ogle, they came down lap 87, and then James Lowe, lap 54. So he's been out there for 100 laps. I mean, that thing got to be sitting around that half a tank, you'd think. I mean, he's going to be pushing it to get to the end. But Tom Ogle, he's approaching that lap traffic, as you see. And boy, oh boy, Scott Negus, he's starting to reel him back in here. This could be what Negus needs.
Yeah, absolutely. So Scott's been close enough, and he just needs a little bit of help. He's hoping that Tom gets held up through this traffic and he can make a move. At the same time, this is where contact usually starts to happen. So these cars that Tom's trying to pass and put a lap down, they're already struggling for grip, but they're going to start to push their cars harder in order to stay on the lead lap or even pass one another. And normally that's where we'll see that contact. So Tom's got to be a little careful here. Even if it gives Negus an opportunity, he does not want to get involved in a crash that someone else has created.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe people watching haven't watched every race. We have JR and Negus. I mean, in another dimension here, there's a chance he's racing for a championship tonight. I mean, he's been a contender at almost every racetrack we've gone to, but has just suffered some unfortunate luck. I mean, I think of Pocono, being involved in that. Oh! Caution in front of the leader. The 54 goes around. Tom Ogle gets a piece. Oh boy, was that enough? I mean, these things, it didn't look like a big shot, but you know how they are, JR. They're finicky, those front tires, and that was a shot right on the left front there for that 13.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the replay here. This is going into 1 and 2. Obviously, Rex, he's been running a higher line. He gets a little bit loose, checks up, and Torrance is not able to check up sufficiently. You see Tom get into it there, and I do believe for the most part, Tom hit that with the front Nerf bar. So that took the brunt of the impact, but he did have to use that left front tire, that left front suspension to climb over Hoyle's car as he proceeded. So never know, it could have knocked the toe out just a little bit on his car, and that would tighten him up.
All the leaders, as we kind of expected here, come down pit road. Brian Johnson did. I think that was a case of wanting to tighten up with the pace car and then go to not lose an extra lap here as Tom Ogle wins the race off pit road. But look right behind him, Brian. Put that car right behind Tom Ogle because JR, I mean, we talked about it. It was what he needed. There he is. I mean, we got a race on our hands here, brother.
Absolutely, and we saw Scott Negus. He came in second place. He's fallen to fifth. So I'm kind of wondering what he did differently on that pit stop compared to the other drivers.
I'd have to think less fuel because looking at the pit times, he had a 13.1. Tom Ogle almost identical, but the other guy's right around the 10-second mark.
Right, yeah, so, just those extra seconds allowed him to get past. It wasn't that he was slower than the leader. He just wasn't faster than the guys behind him. So, yeah, definitely could have been fuel. I've got to tell you, though, these drivers continuing to take right side tires, I'd be a little bit worried on that left side grip not being there. At some point, I feel like you got to have some left sides.
Me too. Don't false alarm here. Yeah, don't think we're going green. I saw the lights come back on the pace truck. The car was sitting still on the backstretch. You know how that goes, JR. They're going to wave around one more time, let everybody line up. So we should go back racing here this time. I think the real big head scratcher for me, but winner, is Jerry Isaacs. He had a 12-second pit stop, but still came out third. And these boys better realize, hey, we're getting ready to go play. Big gap between second and third as the green flag waves. And you got to think Brian Bianchi, I mean, oh boy, he's thanking his lucky stars. He gets to go to work now, and there was a decent gap, but he messed up off of 2 a little bit. Now overdrives 3. All of a sudden, that gap is gone.
Yeah, these drivers are going to be pushing. They're in different positions than they were before that caution came out. Some of them with opportunities to go fight for that win. So the drivers are going to be pushing hard. But I think Bianchi, he's got to remember what got him up into this situation, how he got this track position ultimately was because he had a good long-run car. So he needs to be thinking about that. Hold off the drivers behind you and then go to work in the longer run.
That, I think, is exactly what he's doing here, because he's almost running, that James Lowe line, but he is not backing off like James did. He can't. It's too late in the game to have to pass those guys back. So you want to save your tires, but how you've been preaching, JR, you got to make them work. If they want it on the bottom, sure, it's there. But you're going to send it, and I'm going to pass you again in 30 laps.
Absolutely. Now, the one driver I don't think is going to be trying to save a whole lot is Brian Neff, and he's up as high as what he's been in this entire race. He's in 4th place. If he gets close enough to make a move, I guarantee he's going to, because his goal is always to get that track position first. Worry about how the car handles later. And you see some contact there with Jerry Isaacs.
Yes, right on cue, JR. I mean, geez, this is your story, man. You're just writing it tonight. I mean, he gets there in the center of the corner. Now he slaps the wall, and James Lowe, can he take advantage of a slow run off of 2 to send it in deep? He sure as heck going to try. Side by side off of 4. And the Winn-Dixie machine had to lift out of the throttle here. James Lowe going to get one.
Yeah, talking about how aggressive Brian can be on the racetrack, he's also a driver that once he's made a mistake and the drivers start to pounce, he will let them go. So he will back off for a few laps, kind of collect his rhythm, get it back going once again before he starts to charge. And that's what I kind of saw there. He was just trying to get back in line.
Here we go. You see working around lap traffic there, the 54 Hoyle. And up front here, getting, the battle isn't too hot yet, but the water's starting to boil. I mean, Bianchi is getting there, and he knows he's getting nobody up here racing for a championship. He's got to go. I'm almost certain Ogle and Isaacs, they're teammates from what we got last week. So, you don't want to be in the middle of that sandwich here. He's going to have to go sooner rather than later, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And, I'm not sure what Tom's philosophy is. If he's trying to run hard, definitely if I'm Brian Bianchi, I'm going to continue to be as close to Tom as I can be, because I want to pressure him into making an error so that I can potentially have an easy pass. But I've always been a driver, especially at this track, where I didn't care if that car was close behind me or not, because I could control the race. And I feel like Tom can also do that. And in return, that gives you a huge advantage because you've got the clean air. I know this is a short track, but the Tour Modifieds do create a lot of downforce, and having that clean air helps keep those front tires nice and cool throughout a run. And you run at your own pace as the leader. As long as you hold off those drivers behind you, you keep them behind you and focus on your corner exits, it's going to be tough for them to make a pass, even if they're right on your bumper.
Yeah, that being said, are you kind of surprised here to see the 14 drop down? I mean, he had been running that half a lane higher. That had to be helping that downforce a little bit. Now these last 4 or 5 laps or so, he has been tucked right down behind that 13. You maybe want to shuffle back out half a lane to the high side again?
Yeah, he's definitely going to have to do something a little bit different to get an advantage. I think one of the reasons why he stopped doing it is because Jerry Isaacs got so close to him. And you just don't want to open up the opportunity for a driver to get to your inside and potential contact to happen. So I think that's why he kind of changed what he was doing. Also, I'm not sure he wants to show all of his cards just yet to Tom Ogle. I think he wants to make sure the timing is right before he really starts running that line. He gets into the wall a little bit on the front stretch.
There he goes. He's trying to diamond off, get this run off at 2. He had a pretty good run there, but it wasn't enough. And you can see him really back up 3. You saw Isaacs really close in. I mean, he is trying different things now, but once again, as you had mentioned, it's almost that time where Bianchi, he's got to put all the ideas back on the shelf here and just try to open up a little more of a gap again.
Yeah, he's going to have to get back into a rhythm, close up that gap. It doesn't have to be quick, but he's going to have to close that gap up. And the biggest thing he's got to watch for is the car behind him of Isaacs. He does not want Jerry to get a run on him. So that's priority number 1. Hold on to second place, then go to work on Tom again.
Tom, it's anxious to see if it's him kind of, extending the leash or if it's Bianchi just running his race, doesn't like the pace of the 13. It's always different strategies, JR. I tell you all the time, but, I'm that guy who, if I am lucky enough to be out front, normally I build that lead up way too big, and about 20, 25 laps to go, I'm stuck in the sand, and those guys motor on by me. And Tom Ogle, it's really tough to be that guy out there tippy-toeing. What is the limit? But I guess, we already had the 100-lap green flag run, so, he has had a good test for the tire wear.
Yeah, absolutely. That big run that they had. Oh, we see Isaacs trying to dive to the inside of Brian, but Brian's going to hold him off. So that long run we had, the great thing is when you come in to do a pit stop is you can click on that black box while you're in pit road, and it will show you your tire wear. So you can judge off of that. How did I run the car during that run? Does it look like I was taking care of the tires? Can I push harder, or do I need to back things off? So that gives a driver that's already been out front a lot of information, and in return, they can use that throughout the rest of the race. And I think Tom knows exactly how hard he needs to drive this car in order to maintain a gap without killing the tires.
Tom, right now, the gap's sitting at about 0.6 of a second. Jerry Isaacs, man, he is sending that thing in, and I think it's got James Lowe licking his lips here. He's almost trying that counter dive down, trying to get a run. The 07 gonna see what he can do here as Ogle rolls off a 4. We've got 50 laps to go here in the Zach Brewer Classic, JR.
Yeah, and this is the point. We're inside 50 to go. You've got to use that car. You've got to drive it as hard as you can right now if you want a chance to get up there to the leader, because 50 laps, there's no saving at this point. You're not going to be able to make a late move at this point. So go run hard, do everything you can to get by the car in front of you, and you're going to have to use unique racing lines. You're going to have to do something different. If you're following that driver ahead of you running the same line, you're not going to be able to pass at this racetrack. Got to do something different.
Oh, you know as well as I do, not to get too dorky here, but you do the math. This thing stays green. We only got about 12 more minutes left in the car. So if you're Bianchi, that is a pretty big gap to go try to fight down at a short track. You got to be on your game, and it's almost to the point there as it looked like he almost slid a little bit. You've got to go, and I think he did slide. Ogle opens up the gap a little more, and man, the pressure, he is starting to feel it.
Yeah, absolutely. Bryant did slide. It was a 4-wheel slide through about half of turns 3 and 4. Able to keep it underneath him, but you saw it. He lost a lot of time to Tom Ogle, almost a quarter of a second there. And in return, he's got Jerry Isaacs and James Lowe right on his rear bumper trying to make a move. So now the pressure is really on him, and it's going to be hard not to make a mistake. You've already slipped a little bit. You can't do it again.
Oh, and oh boy, Isaacs, he gets a little loose coming out of 4 there. Lowe not able to get to the outside. You see, he was trying to make the move on Bianchi, excuse me. He's got the pace, JR, but he may have to use that bumper a little bit.
Yeah, it's at the point where that's becoming more and more acceptable. We're at the end of the race. The pay window is starting to open, and you're seeing the leader continue to drive away from you. So if you feel like that car ahead of you is slowing you up, and you've tried to make a clean pass, but it's just not happening, you may start to use that bumper. to the point to where you're just kind of bumping them and pushing them into the corner, letting them slide up the track enough so you can get a run underneath them.
Exactly. That's where you want to do it. You know, we see some bumping in the center of the corner. That's the naughty zone. You know, that's where if you're upset with the guy, you don't want to meet him in the center of the corner. Give him that shove in, push him high, or worse comes to worse, if he's going to block coming off, I'll give him a little shot if you got the run off top. But I would say, JR, for the most part, unless you're really frustrated with a guy, you don't want to hit him in the center of the corner.
No, absolutely not. That's where the car is the lightest. The rear end does not have any grip. If you touch a driver there, it's going to be very difficult to hold on to it, especially if it's a good hit right in that center part to the left rear quarter panel. Then, yeah, the car is going to go around, but does not take much. You do not want to do that. If you're going to do anything, it's got to be more on entry. You may be able to get away with some of it on corner exit, but that's also when the driver's trying to apply that throttle and it can be very loose. It is an art. You think going up there and using that bumper is something that anybody could do, but there's an art to doing it without wrecking that driver ahead of you.
I would say, JR, you know, normally, I preached it earlier when James Lowe stayed out. I thought track position would be king, but if we would get a caution here in the next 10 or so laps, I think after running around so long, I mean, it's been another 60 laps, driver's probably going to come down and get an extra set of right sides, wouldn't they?
I would definitely do it because we've seen that the fresh tires, they're so much faster because you can move around and make decisions that other drivers can't. You can go a little bit higher, you can go a little bit lower. Wherever you need to go, the car's going to be able to get pointed and go in that direction. With the older tires, you can still turn good lap time, but you can only run one line, really. And that limits your options, and the other drivers are just able to go around you because of the maneuverability that they gain from it. So absolutely, I think if a caution comes out, you're going to see everybody come down. But having said that, depends on when that caution falls. Somebody may take a risk and try to stay out. That could create a lot of action late.
Well, 30 laps to go, and it hasn't been a bunch, but, you know, they've kind of rotated. But I would say overall, these last 3 or 4 or so laps, Bianchi been a little quicker than Tom Ogle. Maybe the car coming back to him. What's the lap time? Almost identical laps this time for those two. But Bianchi maybe getting a little life back in that machine. I mean, he was pressured for so long. You got to think, JR, it takes a little bit to get back in that rhythm, but Bianchi may have found it.
Yeah, he may have. So he's kind of stabilized here, running similar times to the leader. I think ultimately Brian wants to kind of move around and run some different lines, but Jerry Isaacs is just too close right now. It's too big of a risk. If he tries one of the lines he was using earlier and it doesn't work, he's going to go from second back to fourth.
And James Lowe there just laying in the weeds. He is right on the back of Isaacs too, and not too far back was the 29 who just had a little bit of a slide coming out of 2, Scott Negus. I mean, any contact between these guys in front of him, he is right there to steal a couple spots. And Lowe so quick there through the center of the corner, but just nowhere to go with it. Did you see Brian Neff? He looked like he was on the slip and slide there going down the backstretch.
Yeah, definitely starting to see more movement from these cars, and I've been watching, like what we're seeing here, right around that third position. Isaacs is really slipping and sliding, trying to get a run on Brian Bianchi. So far, it's not worked, but what it has done is it's allowed James Lowe and Scott Negus to close in. So now he's got to be thinking, Jerry has to be thinking, what do I do to not make a mistake and allow those drivers behind me to get a run? Because instead of him being the one that's trying to make the move, he's now going to have to hold off the moves that are being made.
Coming down to 21 to go this time, blackjack on the clock. And this is where it maybe starts to get into that interesting territory where no green, white checkers, so the race can't end under caution. The caution flag maybe flies now, JR, with 20 to go. You just put on the hard hat and try to go to work, maybe play a little defense. I mean, it'd be tough for me to not want to get this thing out front here with 20 to go.
Yeah, we do have fast cautions here, so The one thing we talk about with the modifieds is it's a lot about tire temperature. So when you get a caution, that tire temperature does start to creep down. The cautions aren't long here, though, so they don't creep down to an amazing temperature zone, but you will have more grip when you take the green flag compared to what you had during the green run. So the tires will be cool. You will have a little extra speed. So if you're a driver that decides not to pit if a caution comes out right now, you could potentially hold off those guys. The other thing you have going for you is what you talked about. There's no green-white checkers. Caution laps count. We can end the race under caution. So if you stay out and there's an immediate caution because these guys get to racing each other, that's only going to help you.
Oh, I thought we were going to see a caution there, almost 3 wide. That was close, JR. Boy, oh boy.
Yeah, these guys are really hanging on. They're doing a fantastic job because what you're seeing is not easy. It is not easy to hang on to one of these things when it starts to slide through the corners like that. It's not like the SK. The SK is a little bit more controllable. The Tour mod, it is on the edge, especially as these tires get worn. So these drivers are doing one heck of a job hanging on to them.
Right now, Brian, he hasn't really been able to yank back at that. The laps have stayed all about identical. It's a second gap without a caution flag. I think the champion here may add another checkered flag to the collection, but JR, these bottom podium spots here, they are definitely far from being over. James Lowe, he is right there. Oh man, he just cannot get the run that he wants off of 4 when he has to turn it down that quick. But man, he is hungry for third. He's right there.
Yeah, and it's a frustrating time, you know, as you get the laps on these tires. For what, like 50 laps into this run, I think, close to it, 40, 50 laps. So this is when the cars are not handling great. You can be a car that is faster, but unless you're significantly faster, I'm talking like a half a second faster, it's going to be difficult to actually make that pass if the driver in front of you is not making a mistake. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. These drivers are nose to tail. I feel like Jerry's a little bit faster than Brian. James is faster than the 2 in front of him, but it's just difficult to make that pass. So the drivers are going to continue to push harder and harder. And in doing that, that's why we're seeing these cars move around so much. They're right on the edge right now.
Yeah, and realistically, you know, you never want to be that guy who throws the dive bomb. I mean, we've seen it backfire tonight, but JR, right now, as the tires age and the guys kind of protect that outside, it's almost the only move in the arsenal. I mean, you got to get aggressive, either drive it in deep on the outside on corner entry, or if the guy's leaving enough of an opening, make them uncomfortable, jam that nose down there. I just don't really see any other way other than, you know, a quote-unquote dive bomb here to get one done.
Yeah, and that's what typically happens at Hickory. So if you're close enough, meaning that you're on the back bumper, even with the drivers, you come out of the corner, you get that, you know, that urge to drive in deeper. Turn 1, we see James right there is going to try to dive into turn 3. That's what you start to want to do. You want to drive in a little bit lower, a little bit harder, and a lot of times that's when the contact gets made. So it's a risk versus reward, but it's the end of the race. You want every position you can potentially get.
2 sticks in the air, 2 laps to go here, JR. Tom Ogle, he's gone out front. But here we go, Brian Johnson. Oh, hang on to it. That would have been a yellow flag. But Tom Ogle now off of 4. White flag in the air. Oh, no, no caution flag. We got our final lap. Tom Ogle rolls off of 2. Down into 3. JR, you saw the car sitting backwards. He don't care. He's collecting checkered flags. Tom Ogle wins your championship and the feature here at the Hickory Motor Speedway. Heck of a battle for those bottom podium spots between Bianchi, Isaacs, and well, Lowe. He got left off it, but JR, that was quite the show there. Those closing 30 laps, those guys were working hard.
Absolutely. Pushing hard, slipping and sliding. Great show of talent. And ultimately, Tom Ogle's going to come away with his 5th win of the season. That's the way he wants to wrap up that championship.
Yeah, we get to knock out the championship interview and the winner interview at the same time. So Bonus points for us. We're going to step away here for a minute or two on the Virtual Grip Network, grab a drink, and we'll be back with your final rundown and interviews from your top three. Stick around. We are back live on the Virtual Grip Network after 250 laps at the Hickory Motor Speedway. And, well, JR, I think it is it's fitting that Tom Ogle walks out of Hickory, North Carolina with a checkered flag and a replica of the old red boot.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the way you want to cap off a season, especially when you've been dominant. I mean, he's won 5 out of the 15 races, so pretty dominant season. You want to wrap that up with a win as you celebrate your championship, and ultimately it kind of was a recap of what this season's been like, all those drivers trying to chase him.
Well, let's go ahead. Let's throw the results up there on the screen. Let's take a look at that final rundown. Tom Ogle, your champion, takes the checkered flag. Brian Bianchi with a hard-fought P2. Jerry Isaacs, arguably faster of the two, but just could not find a way around. He comes home third. And James Lowe, if we're going to argue, maybe at the end, faster than both of them, but he's stuck in line there, coming home fourth. Scott Negus fifth. Double E coming home sixth. Brian Johnson seventh. Lloyd Moore eighth. The Double Deuce, Bruce Pearson ninth. And Brian Neff rounds out the top 10.
Yeah, coming home in 11th place tonight is Robert Garisco, 5 laps down. Torrance Childs, he'll come home in 12th. Rex Hoyle, 13th place tonight. Daryl Weininger will come home in 14th. Gavin Adams, we saw some contact throughout the race there. He ultimately comes home in 15th place. Jeff Aho, that unfortunate accident under caution, brings him home in 16th place. Ken Allen will come home in 17th. And the Allen Wanamaker with some trouble early on, a spin toward the inside on the backstretch. He comes home in 18th tonight, 200 laps down.
Well, it's that time. Last week, we talked to him last. This week, we'll talk to him first. We have the yeah, we do. He's already in here. Jerry, Shaggy in the booth, man. You got a copy?
Got a copy, man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. And I know it's one of those things, Jerry. You obviously, you're happy with the podium, but, I'll egg it out of you. You had a quick race car. It just seemed like, man, you could not get by that 14. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, it was so hard to pass, and I was just trying to be patient at first and wait for him to make a mistake, but he didn't. And then later, just the tires, on worn tires, it is just so hard to pass.
Yeah, and Jerry, it just seemed like, you're not the type of guy to do it. I mean, obviously, you'll bump a little bit, but it seemed like at the end of the race, JR and I were talking about you really weren't going to get the move done unless you absolutely kind of dive bombed that guy. Did you feel the same way in the race car?
Yeah, and I don't even know. I mean, I don't think I could have dive bombed us without wrecking, given the way the track was. It's just really loose on the bottom if you go in too fast, and loose on exit. I might have been able to push him up the track, and I don't know. I just didn't want to end the season that way.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be honest. To end the season on the podium with your teammate, I mean, you got to feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, I mean, congratulations to Tom Ogle on the championship. I've had some races where I've run up front, but just finishing on the podium was a struggle. So yeah, I'm pretty happy tonight.
But hey, congrats, ending the season on a high note, and bottom step to the podium. You got anybody you want to thank, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, all the usual, man. Thank you guys putting on a great podcast. Really appreciate that. YesterYear Racing on Wanamaker for putting on the series. This is a fun series. I never raced modifieds before this series, so it's really cool. I'm enjoying it. And of course, hi, Mom.
I'll tell you that I did not know that, Jerry. I wish I would have known that, man. The fact that you came in this season, the way you're driving that thing, that's impressive. You're only going to get better. Congrats on a great season. Can't wait to talk to you again, brother.
Thanks, man. Look forward to seeing you guys again. Jerry
Isaacs bringing home P3, and now, well, you get to talk to the odd man out, the one who's not a teammate with us too. Who you got?
I got Brian Bianchi. Hey, Brian. You started back in 9th place. We saw you not be in a hurry getting through the field early, but as you had the long run, you were making the passes. And then take me to that last pit stop. You were ultimately able to jump ahead up into 2nd place. Did you think you had anything to work over Tom Ogle after that?
Oh boy, Tom is good. I got to congratulate him on the championship and way to finish the season. After the pit stop, I just wanted to keep the pressure on Tom. Maybe make a mistake, push up, hit the wall, anything, get loose. But Tom's just smooth, and I couldn't get by him. And then just keeping up with him, I kind of got loose there, and I hit that outside wall like 50 of the 250 laps.
We saw the cars really sliding around. They looked like they were becoming more and more of a handful throughout that race. How much did that handling change, or the track surface change?
I don't know if it was all the rubber that was laid down, but it just kept getting looser and looser and looser as the race went on. And only being able to take 2 tires, right side tires, probably didn't help. But I didn't change lefts the whole night.
That was a big concern from our end, wondering if the left sides would start to come into play or not. But yeah, I think primarily most of the drivers took the right sides. This is the last race of the season, closing out the year. I know you didn't run all the races, but you came home with 3 wins this season. How successful was it a season for yourself, and will we see you back here next year?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great league. I'm interested to see what Alan does for next year, what year he goes with. Hopefully it's a little newer, get some of the different tracks. But yeah, successful season. As you know, in the red light, I was having some hardware issues, and some issues like that, so I missed a few races. But I think I would have had a challenge for Tom if I made them all.
Absolutely, man. Well, hey, regroup, take care of that hardware, and go worry about it next season. Make it exciting for us.
I will, guys. Thank you.
All right, guys, that's Brian Bianchi. He's our second place finisher here tonight. Now, Shaggy, who you got?
I got the man who, well, thanks for saving time, Tom. You know, we were going to interview his champion, but you decided not, be the last one to go. I'll win the race too, man. How are we feeling, brother? You dominated tonight.
I did. Track position was really important, but once I was out front, I could kind of pace myself a little bit, and I didn't have to chase or anything or burn up my tires, so that made it kind of easy. And I got in a little bit of a tangle, but nothing terrible. So I was lucky. It was good.
Yeah, we saw that. The lap car spin out in front of you. Not much you can do there, but it seemed like, I don't know what it felt like in the car, but we kind of, ran over the top of you. I don't think you could have hit that any more square with the front bumper.
Yeah.
So it seemed like, you did a perfect job of making sure, neither the right front nor the left front made that contact.
I just tried to, I was like, well, I'm slowing down as much as I can. And then I think in the car, it felt like I drove over one of his tires. So I wasn't sure if I had damage or not. But when I went in, I only had like 1.7 seconds of damage or something. So while I put 2 tires on it, fixed a little bit of it. But then you never know if the toe's knocked out when you go back green. But actually, the car was really good after that. So if anything, it might have helped it, tightened it up, maybe.
So rewinding a little further than that, Tom, actually, you had mentioned that track position's so important. I was nervous for you. I mean, were you a little scared when you came off pit road 5th that time? I mean, you'd been out there for, I want to say, 30 to 40 laps, so there was, an advantage to get new right side tires. I didn't think you guys would make it look as easy as you did when you're marching back to the front.
So on new tires for the first 5 laps, you could run a 0.4, 0.5 for probably about 10 laps. But then you get to a 0.8, and then you just stay there, 0.8, 0.9. At least I did. So I knew those guys. First of all, they were middle of the pack. So I figured I gotta go though. I don't know if you watched, but I was pretty aggressive and went right after him, and actually it hurt me a little bit at the end of that run because Scott ran. I believe Scott is who was in second. Then he ran me down, and I think he was a little better because he was way more patient getting through the lap traffic. Not lap traffic, but back to the front.
Yeah, well, ended up being lap traffic for them. A long green flag run after that. But
I saw. So the 54 was one of the ones that stayed out, and then I saw him getting ready to lap him, and then that's who got turned down across in front of me. I'm like, man, we keep running into each other this way.
Yeah, and I mean, it seemed like too it was a timely caution because. There, obviously you're going to pay attention to your relative. But he ain't.
Yeah.
He takes advantage of that late race pit stop, gains 2 spots. I mean, were you nervous at all? Because obviously, you can pace this thing. You got a good long run pace, but were you worried maybe, he'd be aggressive, kind of move you out of the way? Were you sweating it at all?
No, because, you're always sweating it. I was sweating the whole time because really it's guys took turns really pushing me, and I was always worried the 3rd place guy was back there just riding, saving it, was going to drive by us both at the end because Scott is really good. He killed us at Oxford Plains, and he's really good at short track. So the most nervous I was is 15 laps into a run, and Scott just cut the gap, you know what I mean? And I think at that point he might have been faster than me. Late in the runs, he was good, and I think he probably, if I would have made a mistake, he would have got me, I think.
Well, hey, at the end of the day, you bring home the checkered flag, as well as rumor has it, the old Red Boot will make a flight to Ohio, the home of Tom.
Yep, I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to meet those guys. It's always neat to meet, talk to guys.
Restaurant, planned out, or are we going to go somewhere and do something?
We're going to break bread. I think I'm going to tell them, since they're going over to Canton to the Hall of Fame, and Josh Robinson from our other league lives in Canton, I was going to meet them over there so they didn't have to drive further, and just maybe take them. There's a place called Erie Street Pub or something like that. You know, we're going to break bread like gentlemen.
That is awesome.
We're not animals. If you come to Ohio, we'll treat you right. We're not animals here.
Of course, brother. Well, Tom, I love the way iRacing can develop relationships in the real world. Just
100%
of what we do, man. And,
yes, definitely. You have hours talking to guys, and like you don't even think that you haven't met them in real life. So it's always fun to meet guys in real life, and I appreciate them taking the time to drive it out here for me.
Well, hey, man, hell of a run. Capping off the season with this win. You got anybody you want to thank for the final time this season?
I want to thank Alan and Torrance for all the time they spend doing this league. And they just put a ton of time in it, and it's a ton of fun working on schedules, sessions, AI stuff. They do a great job, and you guys do a good job of broadcasting. And Eric and Jerry Isaacs, we were all in a team chat tonight, and they helped me with whether to pit or not. So, yeah, I want to thank, but mainly Alan and Torrance for putting the league on.
Well, hey, hell of a year, Tom. Congratulations, brother. Can't wait to see pictures of that old red boot, man.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Tom Ogle, your season champion here with the OBRL YesterYear. I said OBRL. This is just the... Oh gosh, well, at least I waited all year for the mistake. Just the YesterYear Tour Map. OBRL was on Sunday. Brian, before you can throw that up there, but what am I doing? I got to give the floor to JR a little bit. JR, the best sideman I have ever had doing this. I mean, your knowledge is just beyond belief, and you back it up there on the racetrack. Thank you for doing this with me this season, and really appreciate you going along for the ride.
I appreciate it, Shaggy, man. You make it easy. I always appreciate somebody that is able to be that lead guy and kind of set me up for the calls there. So, yeah, absolutely. And thankful to be a part of YesterYear and be able to share the experience and knowledge I've kind of had over the years through the broadcast side. It's different for me, but definitely enjoyable.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot. Maybe you got knowledge on this, JR, because as we're looking up what's next, what is the Thanksgiving Thunder? This is the first I'm seeing this. Do we know anything about it?
I don't have all the details yet, but yeah, it's going to be a unique race. I believe it is the modifieds that's going to be going to Phoenix. Several different drivers, 125 lap race. So going to be different. We don't typically broadcast anything that is a modifieds on a larger track like Phoenix. So be cool to kind of see how it plays out, especially with all the drivers that we've seen throughout this year from the different leagues. A lot of them are going to be in that race.
You see, we got some other things coming up, but I would say, I'm going to mark my calendar for that one. I'll be checking that one out. Sounds pretty interesting. But for the final time this season, I would like to thank my partner, JR Shaw. The best dude in the back you could ever ask for, Ryan Seneca. And last but not least, us three want to thank all of you dealing with, all the BS, all the hiccups you had to deal with all season. And we can't wait to have you back. Have a great night.